Good morning, class. Welcome to this session of modern organization and management. In our last class, we were discussing chapter 5, that is controlling. Yes, in chapter 5, we had discussed regarding the introduction part of controlling, the features of controlling, comparison between planning and controlling, importance of control, the limitations of control, the control process, and the characteristics of effective control. We had even discussed types of control, dimension of control, and how there would be resistance in the organization for control from the side of employees. And what are the ways through which we can overcome resistance. So, in our today's session, let us discuss regarding some of the control techniques. Now, whatever you can see in the slide, I have tried to give it in a very detailed way regarding few of the control techniques that can be probably used in an organization. Now, basically, the controlling system, we can divide it in the form of financial control, operating control, and inventory control. When we speak about this financial control, now finance is one of the important aspect of any business organization. So here we would be giving attention to the financial part of the organization. Maybe we shall try, control the budget or through the cost, and we have something called as break-even analysis, internal audit, and responsibility accounting are the five things that we would be discussing under financial control. Under operating control is nothing but we would be controlling things in the organization through the operational activities that are being done. And inventory control, it is with regard to the resources that are being utilized in the organization. So, uh, now speaking about this, now we have seen that many planning techniques are equally useful in controlling, because planning provides standards against which actual performance is measured, and it allows us to take corrective actions wherever necessary. However, the application of these techniques, in the area of performance evaluation and in performance planning are two different things. That is to tell, budgeting as a planning techniques, we do use it to allocate resources to various organizational units. But whereas when it comes to controlling process, this is, this technique also known as control tools or control aids. So because there are different areas of organization where control is exercised, these areas may be grouped into two broad categories, that is operational and overall organizational performance. So when we speak about this operational control, it is exercised at the various levels of operating units by operating managers. Whereas when we speak about overall control, it is exercised by top management of the organization. So, we shall see the first one under financial control, that is budgetary control. Now, you might have heard a lot of time this word budget. So, what might be this? Now, this budgetary control, this idea, it has been derived from the concept and also from the use of budget. Now, budget, if we have to tell, if we have to explain it, now it is the financial expression of various organizational operations, and also the way in which budgets are prepared as tools for planning gives opportunity to use the organization resource in a better manner. And because of all this, budgetary control is a system, which uses budgets as a means for both planning and controlling entire aspects of organization. Now you can see one of the uh, definition that has been put up in the slide. Now this definition that has been put up is given by Terry. Now according to Terry, budgetary control, now it is one of the process. In this process, what we do is we compare the actual results with that of the corresponding budget data. And when we compare, it gives us an idea as to whether we have done the activity correctly or whether we have accomplished the activity, or is there any kind of deviations. If there are deviations, how to adjust the budget, and whether we have to correct the causes of the differences. Now there is one more definition that is given by Brown and Hardy. They have defined budgetary control as, I quote, budgetary control is a system of controlling costs which includes the preparation of budgets, coordinating the department, and establishing responsibility, comparing actual performance with budgeted, and acting upon results to achieve maximum profitability. Now, both the definitions that we spoke, the one which was given by Terry and the other which is given by Brown and Howard, now both have almost same meaning. But then one thing that we have to see is that the scope of the budget or the area which is covered under this meaning of the budget, or we can tell that the umbrella of the budget extends beyond, and cost control, this I mean the scope of the budget, it extends beyond cost control. Now with the introduction of several types of budgeting in the organization, there are different ways how we can control things in the organization. Now, from these definitions that we heard, we can identify some of the features of it. The first one is this budgetary control, it establishes a plan, or what we call as target of performance. Now, this plan becomes the basis of measuring progression of activities in the organization. Now that is what the definition tells. You can check the actual results with that of the corresponding budget, and you can decide whether the things are being accomplished, or is there any kind of remedy actions that are to be taken. Now that is the first feature. Now the second one is that This budgetary control, it tries to measure the outcome of activities, especially in quantified terms, so that actual performance can be easily compared with that of the budgeted performance. The second feature is that it helps in measurement of outcome, and especially it measures in terms of quantifiable data. And one more feature is that it tries to focus attention of the management especially on the deviation between what they had actually planned and what is that being achieved in the organization, so that the management can take necessary actions if at all any kind of situation arises, and thereby achieve the objectivities of the organization. So, it does not control the activities directly, but controlling points out where control and corrective actions are required in the organization. So, let us say some of the benefits of budgetary control. Now, this budget and budgetary control, it leads to maximum utilization of resources. With this view, to ensure maximum returns, as it provides aid to managerial planning and also controlling of the organization. Not only this, in the way of doing all this thing, it also helps in coordination. And by all this means, budgetary control can, if we observe properly, it can play three different roles in organization. That is, first one is budgetary control as a tool for planning. The next one is budgetary control as a tool of control. And the next one is budgetary control as aid to coordination. Now, speaking about the first one, that is budgetary control, as the tool of planning. Now, what happens here? Now, the system of budgetary control, by preparing budgets, especially, definitely before the activities are actually undertaken. Now, this facilitates the planning function of management, and it helps management, you know, first and foremost, from the fact that it forces managers to plan their activities. Now, since budget allocation is based on the nature of activities that would be undertaken in a department or a section of the organization, the managers, they have to define what activities they plan for future. And thus, planning becomes an integral part of the entire management function. The next point that we can consider how controlling is a tool of planning is that now this budgetary control, it is very much concerned with uh, you know specific numerical goals than quantitable data. Then quality data, it is concerned into the numerical goals or the quantifiable data. So it does not leave any kind of confusion when it comes to targets. In specific number or specific quantity, they can be specified. And that is how every manager in the organization, they are clear about what they are expected to do in the organization. And this particular clarity, it gives the opportunity of objective appraisal. of maybe the performance regarding it also aids them in self examination, and also if they are very well, or if they are such a person who points out their own mistakes and try to solve it, it also helps in self criticism of the individual. Having said that, control as a tool of planning, it always leads to, very much cautious in utilization of resources. Now, how it does is that because it keeps, a strict check over all the activities in the organization, there shall be cautious use of resources. Now, the resources can be both financial resources and all other resources. So, when we observe this system, it acts both ways. That is, it spurs efforts to achieve the goals and it keeps them within the well defined boundaries. Now, it normally focuses on rational use of organizational resources so as to promote, a higher standard of performance and efficiency in the organization. Now, these three are, I mean, one more thing is that we tell coordination, cooperation. Controlling directly doesn't does that. But because of the activities that would be done under controlling, it shall contribute indirectly to bring in coordination, cooperation in the organization. And also, one more point of control is a tool of planning is that it contributes indirectly to managerial planning, especially at the higher levels. This budgetary control, now it provides an effective means by which the managers at higher level they can easily delegate authority without them sacrificing their control over it. That is because the budget it limits the areas of activities to be trodden by the manager on their own. So managers at higher levels can delegate the authority to their subordinates for the performance of all the activities that has been assigned to them, and they those managers who are at higher level they would be having more time for strategic thinking or complex things or the key issues of the management. Through these ways, budgetary control acts as a tool of planning. So now we shall see how budgetary control is a tool of control. The first thing is that, as a control device, if we observe, budget is very exact. It is precise in nature. It is accurate in nature. Now, it does provide standards against which control activities are undertaken. And through all these things, managers they will be able to keep a watch whether all the efforts that are putting are proceeding in the right directions or if any changes are necessary. And one main thing is that budgetary control it pinpoints any deviation between what standards have been considered or what is the budgeted standards and the actual achievement. So this is communicated very quickly and managers can take suitable actions to overcome the deviations so as to achieve organizational objectives in a better way. And the last one is we can see the benefit of budgetary control in it being helpful for bringing coordination in the organization. Now, how does it bring coordination or cooperation? Now, it promotes cooperation, especially among various subunits in the organization. Now, because budget is an instrument of planning, it normally brings activities of various departments under the overall perspective of management. And when the entire activity is brought together, it normally inspires team spirits and also promotes cooperation. That is to tell, a well planned sales and production budgets, it might lead to better purchasing and labor requirement for timely recruitment by personnel department. That is how, in this example, we can see that not only one, but there are five departments which are coordinated together. Now, this system of budgetary control, it also encourages exchange of information among various units of organization. So, when we prepare specific functional budget, uh, which calls in for inevitably needs the free flow of information among all the departments of the organization. And this free flow of information is the one which helps in achieving coordination. And this system, it promotes balanced activity in the organization. That is, the volume of activity depends upon mainly the objectives of the organization. Therefore, each activity should be performed in proportion to all other activities. And by these estimates of operations like sales, estimation of production, purchasing, it can be well checked against each other, and likewise the activities can be programmed in the organization. And because of all these things, we can observe that budgetary control system is a vital and important device for planning, controlling and coordinating the activities in the organization. And that is how it contributes to a higher standard of performance and efficiency. Now we see so many ways how it can help a lot to the manager, maybe in planning, maybe in controlling, and also in coordinating the activities. But one thing we should remember that even budgetary control is not a foolproof system. Now even it has its own limitation. So all these limitations also a manager should be well aware. So they can take all the necessary precautions so that there can be minimize in the impact of this. Now problems in budgetary control system, it normally emerges from two sources. Now one can be problem because of planning limitations and the other can be because of operational problems. Now, in the planning chapter, we have seen planning has its own limitations. Now, since budget is an outcome of planning activity, definitely it cannot remain free from the limitations of planning. So, some of the problems are one of it is the biggest problem that we face, might be in planning or anything. That is, it comes because of the uncertainty of future. Now, it goes without telling that budgets are prepared on the assumption of what might happen in the future in one way or the other. But due to change in situations, even budgets do not remain reliable and meaningful, and they might not be helpful in achieving control. And there are chances that sometimes this budgetary control, it might jeopardize the basic and important functions in the organization. How can we tell this? That is the way of telling that once budgets are prepared, they become the basis for the future course of action. So the budgets of future years are prepared on the basis of the previous budgets. And also, there are a lot of chances that the situation may change to such an extent that many functions unimportant few years ago may become very important, but budgets may not reflect that. But then this problem can be overcome by periodic review of importance of various activities and also incorporating their importance in budgeting. Now there is one more concept called as zero based budgeting. Now zero based budgeting can overcome this problem of jeopardizing the basic function when we compare two different time horizons. And one more problem is that there are chances that a lot of time overemphasis can be given to this budget. That is, budgets might become end in themselves, and any deviation from budget figures is looked upon with contempt. And this inflexibility contributes negatively to the organizational objective. That is, especially in government departments, substantial portions of amount is spent in the last month of the financial year so as to keep the budget intact. Now, this might result into avoidable inefficiency. Now, these three are from the side of planning. Now, if we go through operational problem, one thing that we can tell is that a budget is uh, guesswork, but it is just that it is a sophisticated guesswork. So there is always a chance for raising the question about the usefulness for budget being used as standard against which to measure the performance and to take action. Now, apart from control actions relating to materials and things, control actions may be direct towards even the personnel in the organization. Now, there are a lot of chances that when this is directed towards personnel, it might work against the morale of the people in the organization. Now, specifically, it happens if the budgetary control system does not operate or is not acceptable by the organization in a good manner. Now, this budgetary control, it might affect organizational morale adversely in one way or the other. That is to tell, the department managers, they might sometimes adopt a defensive attitude as soon as they are encountered with any unfavorable variances. Now, to save themselves from any kind of criticisms from their higher officials or other personnel, they might pass on the blame on other managers. And this blame game, it might create many types of conflicts in the organization. And one more thing that goes without telling is that this budgetary control, it definitely requires a lot of paperwork. Now, it also requires technical personnel always listen. Now, in fact, this does not fit with their areas of specialization. So, in spite of these problems and limitations, budgets are the most important tools for planning and controlling. So, it is always suggested that precautions should be taken so that any kind of negative aspects of budget and budgetary control can be minimized. So, the next one is financial control. The next one is control through costing. This is the second method in the financial control. Now they are very much specifically given in your syllabus as to you have to know what are the different kinds of financial control. In that way of discussing, this is the second one, that is we try to control the activities in the organization through costing. Now, as soon as we hear this word, what we can understand is costing is all concerned with cost determination. Now, normally this cost determination, it indicates what is the approximate cost of process or a product under the conditions which is existing in the organization. Now, this controlling through costing, it will always involves the control over the cost that are experienced in the organization by considering certain predetermined cost, usually what we call as standard cost. Now, to speak about the standard cost, these are predetermined operational costs, compute to reflect quantities, price, and even levels of operations. Now, such standards are set normally in respect of total cost as a whole and its various components, maybe the materials, labor, and different overheads. So standard costing is always a method of cost accounting in which standard costs are used in recording certain transaction, and the actual costs are compared with this standard cost to find out the amount of reasons of variation from the standards. So normally the steps uh, in standard costing is, first is that we have to fix the standards. Okay. Now the standards are normally set for different components of cost separately, and also such standards can be fixed on the basis of past records or through experiments. When we do it through the way of experiment, it is called as engineering method. Now once after the standards are fixed, the second step consists of determining the actual cost. Now, determining the actual cost can only happen once the activity is being completed, and this will help to make a comparative study. Now, this is also done from cost accounting records. Now, once after the standards are fixed, actual performance has been done, the next comes the comparison between standard cost and the actual cost, so that if there are any variation, it can be known. Now, if there is no variation, or if it is within the prescribed limit, there shall be no further action taken. Now, if at all the variations is beyond the specific limit, it is taken for further analysis, and definitely an attempt shall be made to locate all the reasons of such variation. That makes up the fourth step. And finally, if on the basis of these reasons of variations that are being identified, all future course of actions that are to be done so that these variations are removed is planned. And this may require pursual and revision of standards also, if at all it is found to be unrealistic for accomplishment. So that is the process of costing. Now speaking about benefits, now it provides basis for measuring operational performance. Now as this as this costing is developed from the studying of cost of operations and existing conditions, they become a pointer to the weaker aspects of an operation. So, if at all there are any kind of efficiency or inefficiency, both can be easily ascertained under standard costing. Now this standard costing, it also provides a easy comparative, comparability. Now they would have already come up with adequate standards, and thereby cost control exercises permitting influence on all factors of operations. Now the measurement, comparison and evaluation of the performance or the current performance as well as of current expenses become much more effective under standard costing. Now this standard costing, it is basically an economic tool. Now it is such a tool that it helps in cost reduction and control by putting effective check over inefficiency in operations and by eliminating certain undue paperwork. Now it suggests standard cost cards and accordingly the required resources are arranged. Now this standard costing, it acts as the basis for budgeting. Now we said that budgeting planning would help budgeting would help planning, and standard cost normally helps budgeting. So budgeting and standard costing together provide effective control device and make managers cost conscious. Now there is also one more scope of standard costing, that it allows a basis for adopting incentive wage system and also a kind of bonus plan. Now because the standard cost is set up from adequate and careful analysis and study, it provides basis for work simplification and also different other methods of standardization. Now, no matter how good this kind of financial control seems, even this condition has its own limitation. Now we speak about careful analysis, we speak about coming up with a standard, but coming up with standard is very much difficult. And it is a well-known fact that analysis is neither a easy task. It involves careful attention to be given to all the information that is available, all the experience that the person had, and also the expectations of the future. So sometimes standard costing are expensive to set up, and also there are chances that it is difficult to operate. Now, dual cost has to be experienced by the organization, and also making record keeping becomes more difficult. So, this system of controlling through costing is never suitable for smaller organization. And one thing that we have to always remember is that standard costing always requires frequent revisions, especially if the conditions are such that it is ever changing. Now, this frequent revision is very much necessary because standard costs are applicable only under particular conditions. Now, if those particular conditions by themselves change, then definitely revision becomes very much a basic necessity of using standard costing. So, standard costing, we can also tell that it can be used in a better way only in those organizations which work under more or less stable conditions and which carry standardized mass production. Now, you know there can also be sometimes some kind of resistance from the side of employees in using this standard costing as a tool of control in the organization. Even that becomes one of the limitation. So that makes up the two things, two of the types of financial control that we had to discuss. Okay. Then we have one more important financial control, that is break-even analysis. Now I'm sure you have discussed in detail regarding break-even analysis, maybe in your bachelor's when you had studying your costing chapter, or even in your first semester in economics for manager paper. I'm definitely sure you have gone through this. So, now what is that we do under break-even analysis? Why do we do it, or what is the use? Now, basically, when we do a break-even analysis in an organization, we normally try to find a relationship between the cost, the volume, and the profit. Now, that is to tell, it throws light into the relationship of fixed costs, variable costs, the price level of output, and the sale mix to the profitability of the organization. Now, this break even analysis is definitely a mathematical process. Now, we normally come into conclusion by applying the formula to trace the break even point, and we do have things called as contribution, margin of safety, profit or volume ratio, and also we can graphically represent break even chart. So normally uh, some of the things that we have to know under break even analysis is, first one, what is this break even point, or how to reach that break even point. Even before that, what do we mean by break even point? Now we said it is a relationship between cost, profit and volume. So what do we do here? Here basically we see that which is that point in production which is such that the organization here will neither have earned any kind of profit nor will it experience any kind of loss. Now, why understanding break-even analysis becomes important? Because it will let the organization know that what is that exact quantity of products that it has to produce, or what is the exact quantity of products that it has to sell, so that it can cover up all its expense. Now, whatever production is done above the point of break-even point shall bring in revenue to the organization. Now, if at all the production is below the break-even point, then the organization will definitely experience loss. Now, the formula of break-even point is the total fixed cost is to be divided by contribution per unit. So what is this contribution per unit? You would be having sale price. From the sales price, when you deduct the variable cost, we would be getting contribution. Now, why is that we consider variable cost, not fixed cost? Now, one thing about fixed cost is definitely be a part of cost for an organization if it produces the product or even if it is unable to produce the product. Fixed cost they will have to incur. But as variable cost, one of the feature is that variable cost is incurred by the organization with, it increases with every product being produced. So if the product is not being produced, there is no any kind of variable cost. The next comes the margin of safety. The margin of safety we can find out by deducting sales of break even point from the total sale proceeds. That speaks about margin of safety. Now you can find out profit both in terms of quantity and both in terms of amount. So profits you can find by sales minus total cost or total contribution minus fixed cost. Now what you can see is a simple break-even chart which shows a single product for the organization. Now this particular chart shows the level of cost and revenue for each level of sales. And the break-even point is that point where in which the organization will be having no fixed, no neither profit nor loss. Now this chart is a simple and present static picture of cost volume profit analysis. Now if there is more than one product with combined fixed cost, the chart is prepared on the basis of combined contribution of all such product. So what is the benefit of this break even analysis? The first one is that with this break even chart, we can ascertain the profits at different level of production and also the capacity utilization. Now when we determine break even point, whatever is below production may be stopped temporarily till the situation becomes normal, or until the situation is adverse we can temporarily stop such products, and once after it is favorable might be the production would be started once again. Now this break even analysis also helps in determination of sales to earn predetermined profit. Now the graph that we took, we had only one product, but when there are more than one product, it helps in comparison of performance of different product lines and services, so that they can be made more effective in the organization. Now, this estimation of impact of variation in sale price on the volume of profit to affect upward or downward revision of prices. And it also helps to decide the optimum product mix to optimize profit if the organization is involved in producing different products. Now, it also helps in deciding the capacity expansion of plants that could be done in the organization. Now, having said all these things, if at all you are interested, please try to remember Or if you do not know, please try to understand what do you mean by product mix. Because with costing, you should always know what product mix is all about. Now, even break-even analysis, it has its own limitation. Now, the first and the foremost is with regard to the fixed cost. Now, it is always the assumption under this break-even analysis that fixed cost is going to remain fixed and that variable costs vary in proportion to the volume of production. But this do not hold good because of varying environmental conditions. So various cost calculation have application in limited time horizon. Now this break-even analysis, it does not even consider the impact of learning curve on the cost behavior. Now that is also one of the limitations. So what is this learning curve? Now this learning curve, as the name suggests, it speaks that an organization is able to reduce its cost because of maybe like things, improvement in production or operation process. So this phenomena invalidates the total assumption of the analysis. Similarly, it has been assumed that all additional quantity can be sold at the predetermined price. But then this assumption is too simple when we actually put into practice, because in the actual practice there is always competitive force that comes into the picture. So this might be useful in monopolistic market, and with the thing with monopolistic market is in today's business world it is almost non-existent. Now, there is also limitations that for the organization which has multiple products, being produced within the same plant facilities, it faces problems in applying this technique because the fixed and variable cost of each product line cannot be ascertained with high degree of precision, which is important for decision making. So that is break-even analysis in brief. Now all the things that we have to discuss, I'm trying to tell it in a very brief manner because you have to understand costing. Okay, what is budgetary costing? What are this? That comes within the scope of modern organization and management. Studying them in detail would be the scope of those particular subject when you study maybe costing or when you study business research methodology. Here in brief, if you know, it is more than enough. So don't try breaking your head if it is not there. Break-even analysis is only a thing which helps you to know what is that point of production which would have no profit, no loss. Now it is necessary so that the organization will know in exact what is the quantity that has to be prepared so that they start earning revenue for the organization. Now, fourth one in financial control is responsibility accounting. Now, this is the thing that comes under your management accounting. Now, this management accounting, it consists of two principal parts. That is, the first one is called as product cost accounting, and the other one is called as responsibility accounting. Now, we had studied MBO. So, this our management by objectives. So, the use of responsibility account, it gives attention on management by objective rather than management by domination. So, under this responsibility accounting, each person is responsible for that area of operation which is assigned to him, and for effective control he must, or the person should always know what his cost should be and what he had, I mean, what was his earlier cost. So, in responsibility accounting, costs are assigned to responsibility center rather than to products. And always a clear difference or distinction is made between costs that are controllable by the head of the responsibility center and the costs which are not controlled by the responsibility center. Now, this is one of the important aspect, or this responsibility, this concept of responsibility center is important in operation of responsibility accounting. Now, what is this responsibility center? Now, this responsibility center can be an organization unit, such as it could be a division in the organization, it could be a department of the organization, it could be a section, or it can also be headed by a responsible person, where responsibility is fixed on its head for target fixed in respect of that unit. Now, to tell about this briefly, there are three types of responsibility centers, that is cost centers, profit centers, and investment centers. Now, what happens in cost centers is the control system measures only the cost incurred by responsibility centers. There shall be no attempt made to measure the value of their outputs. So, most individual departments and staff departments would be cost centers. When we speak about profit centers, the targets are fixed in terms of profit, which is measurable by the amount of input and output. Whereas in the investment center, managers are held responsible for the effective use of assets as well as for revenue and cost. Now, one more thing about this responsibility center is that the head of the center is responsible for the activities that are to be performed at center, and he shall be made responsible for controllable cost. Now, this system of cost accumulation is according to the hierarchy of responsibility center. Now, the lowest common denominator of the system is called as the accounting block, which consists of a single type of cost incurred either in a cost center or a responsibility center. Now, the one more thing that we can understand under financial control is internal audit. Now, this, with regard to this, you all are very much aware as to what it is. Now, it is also called as operational audit. Now, it is an effective tool of managerial control. It is normally carried out by managers themselves or by specific staff who has been appointed for this purpose. Now, in contrast to that of external audit, which remains unconcerned with the operational aspect of the organization, internal audit is much broader in scope, and also it encompasses the entire range of activities that are being done in organization. So, in addition to ensuring the accounts that are being properly maintained, it also throws light upon facts such as uh, it appraises policies, procedures, the use of authority, effectiveness of the method. However, there are quite a few problems also in extending the scope of internal audit. Mainly because of the limited ability of organization to afford broad audit. Now, this internal audit is even it is not free of its limitation. Now, its installation and operation requires extra cost. Now, it might be too much for smaller organization. Sometimes the reports of internal audit team may not be acceptable to managers because of quite deficiency in that. So the audit people have a tendency to look at every aspects of business operation from the accounting point of view. So this is not only affects the scope of internal audit, but also it leads to faulty conclusions. But then in recent years, the system of internal audit has been elevated to new height by organizing a centralized audit unit for the purpose of supplying greater and wider control information to managers. Now, to avoid any kind of accounting bias, internal auditors in many organizations are normally selected from the rank of line managers. So